All right, everyone, ready to dive in. Today we're tackling something every sales leader thinks about. How do you build a sales team that doesn't just exist, you know, but actually dominates?
Exactly.
We're going to be going deep into sales training versus sales enablement using this really insightful article from Meet Record. It's called Sales Enablement v. Sales Training, Key Differences and Why They Matter. I'm host speaker.
And I'm expert speaker.
We're going to help you come away from this deep dive with some seriously actionable stuff, things you can use today to really make a difference.
Yeah, it's not about theory here. We want to give you a roadmap to build a sales force that actually performs.
Yeah, love it. Okay, let's get into it. First things first, sales training. I think we're all pretty familiar with the concept, but what's its core purpose? What are we really trying to do with it?
Well, you can think of sales training as giving your team the exact skills and knowledge they need to close deals. That could be things like product knowledge, getting really good at using your CRM system, communication techniques, even understanding your ideal customer profile. Basically, who are you selling to and why do they need what you're selling?
Okay, so it's like giving them the nuts and bolts, the how-to of sales. But here's the thing, though. You've already hired talented people, right? Shouldn't they kind of already know how to do this?
You'd think so, but you'd be surprised. Even the most seasoned salespeople, they can get a ton of value out of structured training. After all, things change all the time, right? The sales landscape is constantly shifting.
Yeah,
Think about it. With social selling being so big and everybody doing all this online research, buyers are way more informed than ever before.
that's the truth.
Salesforce actually found that 80% of top-performing sales teams, they all say that their training programs are a huge part of their success.
Wow, 80%, that's a pretty big number.
Yeah.
So it's not just a nice, to have it sounds like it's mission critical if you want to have a top-performing sales organization.
It really is. It's an investment in your team's growth, and it's a smart one.
Yeah.
The article we were talking about before, it highlighted this company, Bluebeam Software, and they saw a 100% sales increase just from the reps who did their basic training. And get this, the reps who finished all the training levels, they saw a 400% increase.
400. All right, now you're talking. What was so special about their training? How did they get those kinds of results?
It's interesting. It wasn't just a one-time thing. They had this multi-level program so people could keep building on their skills as they went, starting with basic product knowledge and going all the way up to really advanced negotiation tactics.
So it's not a one and done. It's got to be ongoing. I mean, who wouldn't want to see a 400% increase in sales,
Yeah.
right? What I'm hearing is it's not just about hitting a quota or something. It's about really building a culture of learning and development, which honestly probably makes for happier employees too, right?
Absolutely. When your team is confident and they're well equipped, they're naturally going to be more satisfied and productive.
Makes sense. Now let's switch gears a bit and talk about sales enablement. This is where I personally used to get a little fuzzy. Before I read this article, I wasn't totally clear on what it meant. What exactly is sales enablement?
Okay, so think about it like this. Training focuses on skills and knowledge. Enablement is about giving your team the right tools, the content, and the leadership support. To really be as efficient and productive as possible, imagine your sales reps are athletes. Training gives them the skills to compete, but enablement is the coach, the equipment, the nutrition plan, everything that helps them actually perform at their peak.
Oh, I like that. So it's about building a system that supports and amplifies their efforts instead of just training them in isolation and then kind of throwing them out there.
Exactly. It's about creating this whole ecosystem for sales success.
That's a great way to put it. So
Yeah.
how do we do that? How do we create this ecosystem? What are the building blocks?
Well, the article breaks it down into 5 key components. First, you've got content management, and this isn't just about having content, it's about having the right content, the stuff that your team really needs. Think case studies, presentations, product demos, anything that helps them clearly communicate the value of what you're selling.
And it's got to be easy to find. Nobody wants to be scrambling for that perfect presentation 5 minutes before a client call.
Yeah.
Organization is key. What else?
Next is training and onboarding. We already talked about how important training is, but ongoing development is just as important as that initial onboarding experience.
Right. So it's about continuous improvement, always giving them the tools and knowledge they need to stay ahead of the game. What's next?
Sales and marketing alignment. This is one that a lot of companies struggle with.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Sometimes it feels like they're speaking completely different languages.
The key is to get them on the same page. Make sure the leads that marketing generates are high quality. And the handoff to sales is smooth and seamless. When those two teams work together, that's when the magic really happens.
Okay, I'm liking this. What's number 4?
Sales enablement tools.
Now we're talking tech. What kind of tools are we thinking about here?
Think of it like giving them a superpower toolkit.
Ooh, I like it.
CRMs to manage customer interactions, analytics tools to keep track of performance, sales engagement platforms to automate outreach, conversation intelligence tools to analyze calls and figure out what's working, content management systems to keep everything organized, the whole 9 yards.
Wow, it was like giving them an arsenal of weapons to win deals. All right, what about that last component?
That would be performance measurement and analysis.
So now we're getting into the data side of things.
Exactly. And this isn't about micromanaging. It's about using data to help your team constantly refine their strategy and get better. We're talking about analyzing things like win rates. You know, the percentage of deals that you actually close.
Yeah.
And the sales cycle length, the amount of time it takes to get a deal done.
So using data to understand what's working, what's not, and figure out how to do things better. It's a constant optimization process.
Exactly. And that leads us to the big question. Which one do you need? Training or enablement?
That's the million-dollar question. Do we have to pick just one?
The good news is you don't.
Oh, good.
It depends on your situation. If your sales systems are already well-defined and things are running pretty smoothly, maybe you just need to focus on some targeted sales training to really sharpen your team's skills.
Okay.
But if you're trying to build something more robust, something that's adaptable, then sales enablement is going to be the foundation you need.
So it's about taking stock of where you're at and then choosing the path that fits your goals. It's making a lot of sense. But can we get a little bit more concrete? What does sales enablement actually look like in practice?
Well, think about what a sales enablement manager does. They might refine the sales process to make it more efficient. They might curate the best tools and technologies for their team. Or they might analyze performance data to see where things can be improved.
So they're like the architects of the sales machine,
Yeah.
constantly tweaking and optimizing to get the best possible results.
That's a great way to put it. They make sure everything runs smoothly and that the sales team has everything they need to succeed.
This is great stuff. Let's pause here for a moment, and then we'll pick this back up in part 2 and really get into the nitty-gritty of sales enablement. Okay, so we're back. And before the break, we were really getting into sales enablement. For all those visual learners out there, I'm imagining a well-oiled machine,
Hmm.
where everything is perfectly aligned, working together to just drive sales.
Yeah, I like that analogy. And like any complex machine, it needs a skilled operator to keep it running. That's where the sales enablement manager comes in.
Right, so they don't just set it up and walk away. They're actively involved. But I'm guessing it's not a one-person show, is it?
Definitely not. Sales enablement, it thrives on collaboration. You need sales marketing and even leadership all working together.
Makes sense. Especially since it touches on so many different parts of the sales process. Something I thought was really interesting in the article was how they talked about sales training actually becoming more effective when it's part of a bigger enablement strategy. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. It's all about creating a context where training isn't just this one-time event, but it's an ongoing process. It's built into the way your team operates.
Okay, so instead of just like throwing a bunch of training modules at people and hoping they remember it all, you're actually creating an environment where learning is constant.
Exactly. And it's tailored to their needs.
Yeah.
That's where that performance measurement and analysis comes in, the stuff we were talking about before. By tracking the right metrics, the enablement team can really zero in on those skill gaps and then design training programs to address them specifically.
Ah, I see. So it's like this constant feedback loop,
Exactly.
always measuring, analyzing, and refining to make sure your team is always equipped to succeed.
Exactly.
And that ongoing support,
It's key to making sure that the training sticks, that it has a lasting impact.
that makes sense. So let's say I'm a sales leader listening to this right now. How do I know what to prioritize? Should I be focusing on sales training or building out a whole enablement strategy?
It's not always an either situation, but there are some questions that can help you figure out where to start. First, look at your current sales systems and processes. Are they well-defined? Are they documented? Are they optimized for efficiency? If not, building a really solid enablement foundation, that might be the best place to start.
So if things are feeling a little chaotic or disconnected, enablement can help bring some structure and clarity.
Exactly. It's all about creating that framework for success.
Makes sense.
Another important question is, how confident are you in your team's current skill set? Do they have the knowledge they need? Do they have the tools to really engage effectively with buyers today?
Because the sales landscape is always evolving, right?
Exactly. Buyers are more informed than ever, and their expectations are higher. So ongoing training is crucial if you want your team to stay sharp and adaptable.
And that's where enablement comes in again, right?
Yeah.
It provides the framework for that continuous training and development.
You got it. It's all about creating a culture of continuous learning and improvement.
Okay. I'm on board with all of this. But I got to be honest, the data analysis piece still makes me a little nervous. It sounds kind of intense.
I get it, but it's important to remember it's not about micromanaging or creating this culture of fear. You're using data to empower your team, to help them reach their full potential.
Okay, that sounds a lot better. So what does that look like day to day?
It's not about tracking numbers just for the sake of it. You're using data to identify trends, see patterns, find opportunities for improvement. For example, let's say you notice your team. They're always struggling with a particular stage of the sales process. You can use data to figure out why. Maybe they need more training on a specific product, or maybe they need better time management tools.
Yeah. Now, that's interesting. So instead of just telling them to work harder, you're actually giving them the resources and support they need to actually improve.
Exactly. It's about moving away from just guessing and relying on intuition and moving towards a data-driven approach to sales management.
I like it. Okay, so putting data aside for a second, what are the qualities of a truly great sales enablement manager?
That's a great question. First and foremost, they have to be great communicators. They're the bridge between different departments. They have to be able to clearly convey information, expectations, and feedback to everyone.
Right, because they're the ones bringing everybody together.
Exactly. They also need to be super organized and detail-oriented. They're managing a lot of moving parts, training, content, technology data, so they need to be able to juggle it all.
Like a project management ninja.
Pretty much. And beyond that, they have to be passionate about sales and have a deep understanding of the whole process. They need to be able to empathize with the challenges that salespeople face and come up with creative solutions.
So it's not just about technical skills. It's about genuinely wanting to help salespeople succeed.
Absolutely. The best enablement managers. They're always looking for ways to make their team's lives easier and help them achieve their full potential.
I love it. This deep dive has been super insightful. All right, let's move on to part 3. We'll wrap everything up, distill it all down into some key takeaways and action steps, things that you can use right now. Okay, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive here. We've talked a lot about sales training and enablement. So much great information. Let's try to sum it all up into some key takeaways for everyone listening. What was the biggest aha moment for you?
You know what really struck me is how sales training and sales enablement, they're really two sides of the same coin. It's not one versus the other. They work best together. When you combine skill development with the right support system, that's how you unlock true potential.
Yeah, I love that. It's not just about teaching someone how to fish. It's about giving them the best fishing rod, showing them the best fishing spots, maybe even giving them a guide to help them reel in the big one.
Exactly. You're equipping them for success at every level. And if you think about the big picture, it's not just about hitting those quarterly numbers. It's about building a sales culture that's built to last, one that can thrive no matter what the market's doing.
So it's about long-term growth, not just quick fixes. But let's get practical for a second if I'm listening to this. Where do I even start? It can feel overwhelming to try to do everything at once.
Absolutely. You don't have to boil the ocean. Start small. Find one area where you can make a big impact. Maybe that's revamping your onboarding process, creating a really good content library that everyone can easily access, or investing in a new enablement tool to streamline things. The important thing is to start somewhere.
So small steps, consistent progress, and a clear vision.
Exactly.
Any final words of wisdom for our sales leaders out there?
Sure. Here's a question to think about. In your organization, what's the one thing you could change right now to make the biggest difference? Would it be sales training to close a specific skill gap? Or would it be implementing some kind of enablement initiative, like better content management or a new tool? Remember, it doesn't have to be huge. Just start with one thing and see what kind of ripple effect it creates.
Love that. And for those of you who want to learn even more, you can find the full Meet Record article that we talked about in our show notes. It's packed with great information and practical advice.
That's worth a read.
Okay, folks. That's it for our deep dive into sales training and enablement. But remember, this is just the beginning for you. As you build your own world-class sales organization, don't just listen. Take action. Start transforming your sales team from good to unstoppable. We'll see you next time.